With the regiment gone, Longbourn felt incredibly dull. My younger sisters, Kitty and Lydia, were heartbroken. "How can you smile, Lizzie?" they'd wail. My mother sympathized, recalling her own youthful sorrows. But Lydia's misery soon turned to pure joy. She received an invitation from Colonel Foster's wife to join them and the regiment in Brighton. I felt a sense of dread. Brighton, with all its temptations, seemed like a dangerous place for my impulsive sister. I even tried to warn my father, begging him not to let her go. But he just laughed it off, convinced Lydia wouldn't get into any real trouble. I couldn't shake the feeling he was making a huge mistake. Before the regiment left, I had a final awkward encounter with Mr. Wickham. Ever since the wealthy Miss King left town, he'd been trying to win my affection again. Honestly, his confidence was just annoying now. When he asked about my time in Hunsford, I couldn't resist mentioning how often I'd seen Mr. Darcy, and how my opinion of him had improved. Wickham looked so flustered. We parted with polite goodbyes, both probably hoping we'd never see each other again. Thankfully, I had my own trip to look forward to with my aunt and uncle, the Gardners. Our original plan to visit the Lake District was shortened, so we decided on Derbyshire instead. The moment I heard Derbyshire, my heart skipped a beat. Pemberley, Mr. Darcy's estate, was there. I was certain I could avoid him, though. After a few days of delightful travel, we arrived in the small town of Lambton, where my aunt grew up. As luck would have it, Pemberley was just 5 miles away. My aunt eagerly suggested we visit. "It's a beautiful place, Lizzie," she said. I panicked. What if I ran into Mr. Darcy? I pretended to be tired of grand houses. But later that evening, I discreetly asked a servant at our hotel and was relieved to hear the master of Pemberley was away. So, the next morning, I agreed to go. The drive through Pemberley Park was stunning. And then we saw the house. It was a magnificent stone building that seemed to perfectly belong in the landscape. For a fleeting moment I thought to be the mistress of Pemberley. That might be something special. The housekeeper, a kind elderly woman, showed us around. Every room was elegant, the views were breathtaking, and I started to admire Mr. Darcy's taste. I could have been mistress of this place, I thought, but then remembered his objections to my family. That snapped me out of my regret. My uncle asked the housekeeper when Mr. Darcy was expected. She said he was arriving the very next day with a large party. I was so glad we hadn't delayed our visit. The housekeeper couldn't stop singing his praises. "He's the best master that ever lived," she said. "Some call him proud, but I've never seen it. I've known him since he was a baby, and he's never spoken a cross word to me." I was stunned. Could this be the same Mr. Darcy I knew? Then she led us to his portrait. He was smiling with that same look he sometimes gave me. I stood there, captivated, feeling a warmth towards him I'd never felt before. As we were leaving the house to tour the gardens, I turned for one last look. And there he was, the owner of Pemberley, walking towards us. Our eyes met, we both blushed. He was just as surprised as I was. But instead of being cold and proud, he approached and spoke to me with perfect, if not entirely calm, politeness. I was so flustered. What did this change mean? A little while later, as we walked by a stream, he came towards us again. This time, I was more composed. He asked to be introduced to my friends, and I watched his face as I introduced my uncle and aunt. I could tell he was surprised they were so well-mannered, but he was incredibly gracious. He even complimented me by asking for permission to introduce his sister, Georgiana, to me. The next morning, he and Georgiana actually visited us at our hotel. I was amazed. Georgiana wasn't proud at all, just very shy. And Mr. Darcy, he was a different man, so pleasant, so kind, not just to me, but to my relations he had once disdained. That night, I lay awake, trying to understand my feelings. I respected him, I admired him, and I was grateful. Grateful that he had loved me, and that he still loved me enough to forgive my harsh words and to change himself for me. For the first time, I began to wonder what it would be like to be a part of his future.